You can arrange
Wow.
the pool.
Oh, where are you based?
Nice.
Where is that?
I'm in Bali.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That's so cool. Is anybody envious? No?
I made some good decisions in November, and now I've been here for a few months.
Hello, people. Hope you are in Christmas mood because we are. Today, we and you actually are the last thing that is separating Kadri from actually going on vacations. And who is Kadri? Well, here we go. Kadri is known for many things, but we will talk to her about GameFounders. We will start, like, imagine the timeline, like dinosaurs died here. Kadri started like GameFounders here, and we are here right now, almost before Christmas. So, Kadri, year 2012. This is when I met you, and you were starting GameFounders in Tallinn, Estonia, a city of 500,000 people, right? And you were bringing in game developers from all over the world. I think on your first batch, you had people right like from the other side of the world. Do you remember it right?
Yes, I mean, like during the whole GameFounders, we actually ended up investing in teams from 26 countries. So it was quite global, and in terms of applications, I think we reached like 81 countries. So I probably cannot even name 81 countries if you make me name so many, but we managed to do that. And I think the furthest we invested is probably like Brazil and Argentina, and on the other side, like a lot of Asia, China, Southeast Asia. But yeah, it was pretty global.
And I think you had some recent exits or investments that you can boast about from GameFounders. I remember I liked this on Facebook, so it's a big thing.
Cool. Yeah. Actually, it's a funny thing because they were from our very, very first batch. So our one of the companies that we invested in, who the team is from Hungary. So we invested in them in 2012. It's called Plan B Labs, and they have an amazing language learning app called Drop. So you are basically gamifying, you're playing with words and building your vocabulary in a number of different languages. And Kahoot was kind enough to see the success and purchase the company for 50 million a month ago. So that was a very good day for us, and at least now all our investors love me, and well, the rest of our team as well. But I mean, the main credit, of course, goes to Plan B Labs. Like these guys really did an amazing job.
Well, that is cool.
Yeah.
So, Karina, do I continue torturing Kadri, or would you like to jump in with your questions backlog?
Yeah, I wanted to jump in with this like kind of like obvious question for me. I don't know. It looks like the game market is consolidating rapidly, super rapidly, especially in Europe and in Eastern Europe. And I wanted to ask, what's your opinion on how it's going to look like in the future? Do you expect it to be like several key players in every country or every region? Or do you think there will be still a place for smaller developers to be just independent and be present there and not to be merged or acquired by some other company? Like, what's your opinion or take on that?
Yeah. No, I mean, I see what you mean. Obviously, that is happening, but I think like one of the reasons that is happening is that the batch of companies that were created, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years ago, they are now maturing and going to the level where their products are actually interesting enough for them to be consolidated into bigger portfolios. But at the same time, there are also just like so many young studios and teams that are being born, and it's easier to access the market. It's easier to publish your game. Of course, it's also harder to be discovered. But I think there's so much more coming on, like kind of like being produced every day, that I don't think that any layer is going to be, disappearing anytime soon. I think it's just a kind of natural progression, and the industry itself is maturing. Because like when we started back in 2012 with GameFounders, like Estonia had basically one company, so Creative Mobile, and they were kind enough to also support us because they saw that there's a necessity to grow the community. But now there are a number of studios coming out of Estonia that have different levels of success. And also there's a lot of young teams as well as talent. There is like education. The universities are providing more education than they did before. So I think there's a lot of kind of production of talent and new studios. So, I mean, it's just the industry in general maturing. I think it's normal, and indies are still definitely going to be the ones driving innovation because they are, faster moving. They can test things. They don't need to wait for board approvals, and they can basically do what they want. Let their creativity flow.
Sure. Yeah, I can kind of relate and agree to that because I remember how it was like 2012 when they were kind of lack of expertise and stuff like this, and it was pretty hard to start the conversations around investments and stuff like this. But right now it looks like the market is more mature, and you just see more players who would be interested in M&As and deals and yeah. Okay, thank
and
you.
also more money. I mean, when we started, there was only maybe like London Venture Partners, but now there are so many funds that are specifically for games, also in Europe. And we didn't have that for so many years. Everybody was kind of, thinking, where can we find investment? But now it's not that difficult anymore. I mean, it is still difficult, but there is just more options.
Is it what you do now, raising fund for another GameFounders round? Or how does that work overall?
Well, I mean, we did 2 funds from GameFounders. So we did our first fund one in Tallinn, where we met in 2012. So we were 2 years in Estonia, and after that we moved to Southeast Asia because we saw that the opportunities there, and we wanted to also expand our mentor network to be more useful to also our alumni if they need to, expand to China or Southeast Asia, so that we would also have networks there. And we did our second fund in Southeast Asia. We were based in Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, good times. And after that, actually, right now we are working with the studios. We're doing some flow-on investments, but we are not really actively running a GameFounders accelerator. So I have actually started raising another fund that is not really game related, and at the same time, though, Paul is raising digital ventures in Finland, which is also a very strong game fund. So one of the ones that I was talking about before.
With GameFounders, you don't really specialize on a certain region or area. You mostly like focus all around the world, and the studios all around the world.
Yeah, we did not have geographical. So when we were in Estonia, we actually only invested in 2 Estonian teams. So a lot of them, because Estonia has this cool thing called e-residency. So most of the studios actually did found the companies in Estonia. So they all have Estonian companies because also the tax regime is quite good there. So they are running Estonian companies, but they're not Estonian teams. So we only had 2 Estonian teams. I think it's not about really the nationality of the people. It's more kind of what they bring to the community. And I feel that we had a really strong impact also on starting the Estonian game community and giving a lot of access to expertise and network to the local developers as well.
Can you actually talk more about that? Since, again, if my memory serves me well, back in 2012, the idea was that you are bringing so much talent to Tallinn, to Estonia. They're establishing local legal entities. And I don't know, but I assume that all these exits that we have briefly talked about, these were Estonian companies. And but fast forwarding to today, so exits of Estonian companies, that's one. But did people actually stay in Tallinn, in Estonia? Did they bring, or what kind of value did your invited companies bring to Estonia and to local community?
Yeah, well, from those companies, actually, we had 2 of them stay, and both of them actually are now, married, live in Estonia, have kids and everything. So that was two very well integrated individuals into the Estonian community. But I think it's not only like the goal wasn't just to get people to move to Estonia, but I think it was also actually like you played a really big part as well, because you were one of our mentors. So you came in and you talked to the teams and you helped them. You were part of the events that we organized, because we had a lot of our events were open. So we were getting also people who were not in one of the teams that we invested in to come in and take part of the events. And we also sent some of our mentors to the universities to, help with some of the lectures, or just talk to them like how they do different classes and give them advice and stuff. So it was really kind of, we were trying to get a lot of different feelers in and see how we can help and what we can do. And right now there's a number of universities that are doing courses. We established IGDA Estonia. We started monthly meetings. We helped, like Creative Mobile was already doing a really good job at a game conference. Like we also tried to help that a little bit with the international aspect. So we were doing a lot of different things, kind of in the lower level to see the roots, the things grow. And I think by today, you can really see a lot of things coming out of Estonia already in the game scene as well.
And when talking more about the team, since you touched that topic, probably this is also one of the typical questions that is being asked, like always. But still, like whenever you evaluate the team, what are the key factors that you pay attention to? Because it looks like a lot of companies who are investing in the game development companies, they pay attention majorly to the past successes team had. So I was wondering, what's your opinion or take on that? Like how you do that?
Well, that always depends on like what stage you go in, because we were super early. So the team that actually exited a month ago, so I think that they got together maybe like 2 or 3 weeks before they came to GameFounders. So the team, they didn't have any track record, in the sense that we didn't really have a possibility to see how they work together. But in that case, just one of my co-founders really believed in the product and really saw that the team was promising, and we decided to take a chance. But in general, I think it's the founders' quality to kind of have the grit to survive, because I would even say that majority of the teams that we worked with, the first product that they came in with always failed. So something that they had already started before they came to us and before they talked to all the mentors and all that, I think usually the first one always failed, and then they gathered enough knowledge and other people's kind of input to make the next one a bit more interesting, a bit more monetizable, a bit more, something. And so in that sense, you can't really see, what they have done before, but you just need to see that they are strong enough to stay around when the first thing fails, and they need to pivot, they need to figure things out, and they just need to keep going. So I think it's very much like human qualities and not really, can you code?
Mm-hmm. How mature should be the product whenever they start talking to you? And should the team have like a super strong vision about where the product is going? Like, how do you address that part?
Mm. Well, for us, like we needed to see something there already. So, I mean, I think the earliest that we invested was, I think there was like a vertical slice, or once I think there was even just a kind of like a mock-up video. But for us, it's important to see more that there are technical capabilities in the team, because we don't teach art, like we don't teach programming. So in that sense, if you're not able to do that part and you just come, I have this cool game idea, then we can't help you. You need to have people in your team that are able to artistically and also engineering wise be able to do this. So that was the main thing that we checked, as well as, innovation. How are the ideas? What is what is the kind of creativity level, because the main thing that we brought to the table was the business side. So you needed to be able to technically, deliver any kind of a game that you can figure out, like how to help with the game design, monetization, go to market, and all these things to kind of go to the end product. So in that sense, there had to be something, but it was okay if it was just kind of a cool vision and not really a technically polished product. But I think vision is one of the things that you mentioned, is also what we were looking in the founders. Like, are you just doing a game because this is something I would like to play? Or are you doing a game because you see, there's a market for this. There are people who would like to play this. This is how we're going to approach them. At least kind of have a general vision of who you are catering to. And then it's easier to address that and see where we can help.
So it's not only programming and art, but it's also about like marketing and user acquisition and all these tactics, right?
Well, in the GameFounders programs, it was like, in terms of art, we were just talking about kind of general art direction, but we never had any kind of technical, input in the sense that we were teaching people to do these things.
Yeah. Okay.
And then after 9 years, it's not super active within GameFounders for you. Can you talk a bit more about present and the future of venture investment, like from your point of view in game development? Like, does it make sense? It's sort of risky. You have to have special skills. It's probably even riskier than non game dev investments, since, well, that's creative. Look into our excited artist, like she's listening to this all, is like, oh, money, investment, all that. She just wants like to make games, right? And all the young and passionate people, they want to make games probably for themselves first and foremost, or maybe make something that they have played and excited about, but make a better version of that. And you cannot really tell them what to do, because you don't know yourself as an investor, if they're right and you're wrong, or is it vice versa. So after the whole story, my actual question is, so what's your opinion on venture investment in game development? Is it the past? Is it the future?
Well, I think, the kind of person or the team that you just described who wants to do games that they would want to play themselves, or something that they're inspired by, it's fine. I think, whatever you want to do in life, it's fine. There is no right and wrong path. Nobody says that if you start a game studio, you need to grow it into Supercell. Like, there is no rules around this. So it's totally fine to do a game, put it up on Steam, maybe make, 50, 70,000 with it, take that money, put it in the team, make the next game, make the same amount. You don't need to make more in the sense that, it's fine whatever path you choose. I think it's the only thing is that, people need to be realistic, that if that is your goal and you are happy with that, then there is no need to take on investors, because there is no way you're going to meet the requirements of the investors. And they're just going to be in your way, in your face the whole time. Like, why is this like this and that? So I think there's kind of, like a pressure from the society, what is the right thing to do, or like, you have to scale, you have to do this and that. You actually don't. You can just, be artistic, be whatever you want, do whatever size of games you want. And it's fine. And that's kind of like, one of the things that we have seen is a lot of our studios as well have turned into what we call lifestyle studios. So you kind of make it for yourself. You make enough to live by and kind of, be happy and sustain yourself, but not really enough to get investors. And I think it's just a place to be realistic about that. And then there are no expectations or failures in the sense that, I have to be this or that. So this one side of what you asked. And in the second turn, I think that actually there's a lot more money, as I said before, there's a lot more money on the market than there was in 2012. Like in 2012, most of, let's say there was like only Finnish business angels had the guts to put any money in game development. So in other countries, people were just kind of running away, and they were saying that, it's a lottery. I don't believe this, blah, blah, blah. So actually, our Estonian fund investors, the people that put money into our fund, were mainly business angels from Estonia. And like my hat goes off to them that they were visionary enough to be able to believe in us. And right now, I mean, of course, they're happy about their decisions. But at that point, to get that amount of angels to back something that is in a sector that is not really, understood by investors yet, and in a country that doesn't really have a long history, it was quite exceptional. But today, I think you can more or less in any country find angels who already understand, that gaming has potential, and they are willing to look into it, and also there are different sons that are being born, and there are different programs, and I mean, for instance, in Estonia, the government is already supporting like IGDA Estonia. They're supporting different marketing activities. So everybody is kind of getting their eyes opened about there is money in the games industry, and it's not a lottery. So you can actually, see logically if there is something there. So it's in a way easier, but at the same time, there are more studios. So, might balance it out and just kind of end up being the same.
So if a person has just Googled out this video, hello person, and they're like, oh, okay, they're talking about like talking to ventures, and and that person, again, hello person, is thinking, so right, what do I tell? Like, do I show a venture or the money guy or gal? Do I show them a trailer? Do I show them myself? Do I present a team? Since asking money for a startup, you're not like, when you're asking money for a startup, you're not like pitching your product to investor. You're telling the investor how you're gonna earn money with that product. When you are asking for money for the game, do you show the game, or do you promise to earn money with the game? Or what do you say overall?
I think it's both, but I think there's a lot of difference between pitching technology or pitching content. And I think there are a few things actually that are quite different. So on the positive side, in terms of when you're pitching content, and if somebody invests in the studio as opposed to in just one game, but in the whole studio, then if that game fails, the studio can make the next game. If technology company fails, they will just split up. This is something that is very different, and the kind of lifespan of the studios is a lot longer for us as well. Like when we saw our first studios that started to publish their games and it didn't go so well, then they didn't split up. They just, they already had two more ideas in the drawer that they could just take out and started working on. So in that sense, it's a bit of a long game. But I think in terms of what to show the investor, it always depends on what level of intimacy you have with the investor. Like usually first investors are somebody you're like friends, family, and just, somebody from your ecosystem. So if they already know you and they already know that you're a good guy and all that, I mean, obviously you need to show the game, but most importantly, in terms of investors, you need to figure out what they're looking for in terms of returns and how you can provide that. So if you can't really provide that, then maybe that's not the best option. Like maybe there is some kind of incubator, accelerator, grant program, or maybe you can just bootstrap. Like a lot of, I think that it's quite unrealistic to say that, a startup that doesn't have really anything, or a studio that doesn't really have a game or any metrics from soft launch or anything, can just go to a random person and get money, because there's just so many studios that are able to create that product and up until soft launch, so, and have numbers, and that's kind of like what you're competing against. So it's not really realistic to suggest that, as soon as you have an idea, go pitch it. I think that's not going to end too well.
Can you suggest, I know, like accelerators or incubators or something that you like? Since GameFounders is not active, we cannot recommend GameFounders today. I would before, but like not today. So
Thank
where do
you.
people go? Where do people go today? Do you have anything on top of your head?
I think that currently there are mostly, country-based different options. So, obviously the European, one of the oldest game incubators is run by JP in Utrecht, so the Dutch Game Garden, but they are only looking at Dutch companies. There are things going on in Sweden. In the Nordics, I think it's a bit easier because they kind of are more open to the whole games scene, and also games are very easily let into general accelerators and incubators. But in terms of the rest of the world, it's just right now, I don't really think that there is a very international option similarly to what we had. So it just needs to be the local business angels or local incubators that need to be convinced of that.
Sounds like a great startup idea to me. So shall we just go and raise money?
GameFounders, huh?
Yeah. I mean, you started in Tallinn, and then I remember hanging out with you in Malaysia, and it was warm, and I just a picture so that you can envy me now. Just picture a rooftop bar. I think it was some fancy 5-star hotel. Actually, Kadri lived there. And in this 5-star hotel.
Oh, you did too.
Yes. But that was on company behalf. And where was I? A rooftop, like a top of the roof of the top. And there was a pool, and this is where we had our business meetings. And in between the business meetings, I would go and swim in the pool, and there was a view, and it's so these were the horrible business conditions of GameFounders in Malaysia.
But we did survive for a whole 2 years in those horrible. No, it was really lovely, and getting to share that with all the mentors and the teams, and actually MDEC from Malaysia, who was our partner, they also had this vision. It's not an easy thing for a government to open up their country to studios from all over who are going to leave, but during those 2 years they just bring so much to the community that stays there. That was a very good 2 years. We should totally do it again. So let's just pitch it right now. So anybody who has a few millions lying around, so far GameFounders has returned more than I think 400% of the first fund, and we still have some some nice investments. So in that sense, please send all your inquiries to me.
Yes, people, if you have extra 2 million, Liara, by the way, can you look outside of the window? Do you see any extra 2 million lying around? No. Okay.
He's already counting.
Yeah, but that sounds good. Another story. The person on the Twitch saying, "Yay, more dinosaur stories." Yes, this is me. This is me with dinosaur stories. I remember a creepy thing.
I hope they're not referring to me. I'm not that old.
No, they're referring to me because I tell all these dinosaur stories all the time. Another dinosaur story. I remember I was dying from heat, and I actually remember two things. I remember that when we were hanging out with you in Malaysia with GameFounders, it was a night, and I think it was some kind of party, and I think yourself scrolling the feed, and it's oh shit, Trump won. So this is how I remember when it was. It was the actual night when they were calculating the results. Another flashback from the time is when I was teaching bartenders in Malaysia to do coffee on the rocks because I was dying from heat. And it was impossible to explain what they want. So I would ask for a double espresso and a bowl of ice, and they would indeed bring a bowl of ice each time. I would take and that was the way to go.
Sounds like tough times you guys survived.
I think that you left a really good mark on the bartending culture there. Thank you.
Okay, let's torture the Zoomer here. While yes, Zoomer, tell a story. I mean, you have been silent all the time. Normally, we invite you to the chat. You bully everybody.
No, I've just been listening because, this topic is something that completely new for me, and I don't understand anything. And
Pioneer
I was listening.
camp? I mean, in Belarus, that's all you have, camps. So.
No, it's other kind of camps, So I was listening and I was like, oh, okay. Oh, that's what she's doing. Oh, all right. So for the whole 30 minutes, I was like, oh, I see. Finally, I understood something.
Did you feel like you wanted to drop everything and join GameFounders and do games and what was going? Okay.
Because there was a point where you told that, if you want to do stuff that you like for yourself, then, you're not earning money. But if you want to earn money, you're supposed to do something
what
that other
told.
Person. Yeah, what you're told. So I'm like, okay.
And that's how life works.
Yeah, I know, right? But...
Yeah, but I mean, it makes sense. It's the same as with everything in life. You should figure out what you want to do and then just do it. It's not like other people can stop you if it's the correct thing. Whatever, you just do you.
Yes, and that doesn't correlate with money very often until you figure out how it does.
It's fine. And sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. But I mean, it's, you can be happy without a private plane. You can just be happy with a rooftop pool as well.
Or cemetery outside.
That's a start. I mean, that's a start.
Or the end, it depends. But
maybe more.
You started with dinosaurs and you're ending with cemeteries. I think it's good.
Okay. I didn't know that's good. But so, right.
Circle.
I like the mood. I like the mood. Does anybody have anything else to say? Otherwise, we will say goodbye and let Kadri enjoy Christmas in Bali.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas, Kadri.
Merry Christmas. And it's time
warm
for us.
and nice. Yes.
Yes.
Thanks for coming. And hereby I can state that the last barrier before Christmas, you have just jumped over it. So I congratulate you with that. Thank you and goodbye. It was a pleasure hanging out.
Thank you so much. Thanks.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Thank you so much and happy holidays.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.